Hello, everyone. Good to be here. Today, I'm going to be talking about cannabis in New Zealand and Brazil. Find synergy and opportunities together. I'll be giving an overview of both markets and the key features of both markets, the challenges and some lessons that you learn along the way, and our approach and a little bit of the company overview. We are a research-led distributor and supplier of medicinal cannabis to meet growing demand to international market. So we were born with the purpose to maximize access and the benefits that humanity and society can gain from cannabis. We understand that it can bring relief to those who suffer and ease pain of various descriptions. It's our view that this complex and unique plant with such far-reaching healing properties is a gift from nature to be harnessed and honored. A little bit of the key features of the New Zealand market. In 2020, New Zealand implemented the medicinal cannabis scheme. It was a significant piece of legislation, and it has shaped the industry in the country. So the key features of New Zealand, the New Zealand scheme, is that it set quality standards. So it set the minimum quality standard, and it includes for different categories of products, such as raw materials, finished dosage products, and cannabis-based ingredients. It set also how doctors should prescribe. So in New Zealand, any doctor can prescribe medicinal cannabis to any sort of pathology. And also that, because before they had to seek approval from the Ministry of Health, after the scheme came into force, they didn't do it anymore. It also set the licensing procedures. So it sets a framework for the domestic cultivation, production, research, nursery, and also distribution of medicinal cannabis products. It also established the MCA, the Medicinal Cannabis Agency. It was established to oversee the scheme and also to setting and maintaining product quality standards, issue license, and monitoring compliance. Some of the challenges, as was mentioned earlier about the New Zealand medicinal cannabis scheme, is in terms of marketing. So New Zealand companies cannot approach doctors to talk about products. That's a lot of restrictions in terms of how products can be marketed to patients in New Zealand. So that's, I see as one of the biggest challenges for the industry. This is a photo of Piro that Tom just presented. Some of our products that we are bringing to Brazil, the biomass is used by our manufacturer supplier for our CBD products coming to the Brazilian market. So the Brazilian market Brazil is the biggest country in Latin America with the biggest population. It's becoming 1.35 billion market by 2027. That's the predictions. And as was presented earlier today, we see that it's a market that's growing rapidly year by year, and we see that happening. That happening in a way that a lot of opportunities for those that are operating that market. So it's a population of 260 million people, and the demand in Brazil is expected to grow again. Demographics, the country has an increasingly elderly population, and that currently accounts for 30% of total visa import requests. I'm going to touch a little bit about the patient access in Brazil. There's mainly two ways that patients can access products. One is through direct importation. So patients can request through Anvisa, which is the regulatory body in Brazil, they can request the right to import a product through a doctor prescription. Once Anvisa authorizes the patient can seek the product from any place in the world. And another way is through RDC 327, which is Anvisa registration. So in this process, the product needs to be coming under GMP certification and to be sold in Brazilian pharmacies. So that's the two ways that products can come into Brazil. We as a company, we are operating in the first one, RDC 660, which is direct importation, but we already started the process to start registration of our products through RDC 327 to be sold in Brazilian pharmacies. We see a growing number of prescriptions year by year. We see a lot of doctors and patients become more familiar. Brazil is a very conservative country, so there is a lot of misinformation and stigma attached to medicinal cannabis, but we see that this is changing and the number of prescriptions are growing very rapidly. Another key feature of the Brazilian market is it has a rich tradition in medicinal plant. People use plant for the health care, and so about 82% of the population currently uses plant-based medicinal products. Well, the main difference, actually the main aspect of the Brazilian market is that it doesn't allow the cultivation. So we are not allowed to cultivate in Brazil, and obviously without the biomass, without the starting material, we cannot have the full supply chain of products, which leads to a huge demand for imported products. So companies can import finished dosage products and also can import the starting material. This starting material cannot be raw plants. It needs to be crude extracts. So with that, companies in Brazil, pharmaceutical companies in Brazil, they can do the manufacturing and the whole process to have finished dosage products. That's why there's a huge demand for imports for medicinal cannabis products. Obviously, with all the opportunities comes with challenges. And in Brazil, the main challenge that you see for patients to access high-quality products are due to, first, a fragmented supply chain and a lot of low-quality imported products. So what happened is with the 2018 Farm Bill in the US, which allowed CBD products to be exported from the US, a lot of companies start importing these products that in the US they are classified as food supplements. They're coming to Brazil as prescription medicines, and that sets a low bar of quality. I see it as the main challenge and the main threat of our industry, because imagine that for a doctor and for a patient, it's a whole paradigm shift for them to accept medicinal cannabis as a therapeutic tool. And as they go to this process, they access a product with low quality. The patient won't have the result that they're expecting. And same thing with the doctor. The doctor won't see a major difference in the treatment of their patient, and that puts a huge risk for the actual legitimization of cannabis as a therapeutic tool. Another challenge that we see in Brazil is the limited knowledge of the healthcare professionals in the application of cannabis for medicinal treatment, not just in terms of how the endocannabinoid system operates and how it affects different conditions, health conditions, but also the understanding of the difference between the quality of products. So we see that in Brazil, doctors have no idea of what they are prescribing. As long as they see CBD, as long as they see cannabis in it, they believe that they are prescribing good products. And the provenance, a lot of times earlier today, they talked about the fake COAs, and something that you see a lot happening in Brazil, companies that they cannot provide the right provenance of the products, they come in, as I say, as medicinal prescription products, and that puts, again, a huge risk to our industry. So through RDC 327, which is for registration for products to be sold in pharmacies, there's a high barrier of entry and is highly regulated. So it creates an underdeveloped market with only a few pharmaceutical grade product options available. Actually, it is changing. We see that Anvisa has approved through the sanitary authorization about 25 products, and the number is growing. And obviously, not just in Brazil, but also in New Zealand and other parts of the world, still a lot of stigma and misinformation attached to medicinal cannabis. So again, prescriptions, only a small percentage of doctors are knowledgeable enough and confident in prescribing medicinal cannabis for the treatment of and management of different pathologies. And again, in Brazil, through the registration for products to be sold in pharmacies, only oils and solutions are allowed. So flour is a ban in Brazil. We know that flour it's an administration method that can be very efficient for a lot of different conditions, but unfortunately, Anvisa took a very hard approach into flour, not even for starting materials. So that puts a few options for patients. So how we see that, how we can overcome all these challenges? We believe in the collective strengths of the New Zealand industry. We know that we can achieve much more when we work collaboratively. We saw that in some other industries in New Zealand, like the dairy industry, the wool industry, the wine industry, where companies work collaboratively to create a New Zealand brand where quality and provenance are the key aspects of the products that are coming from our country. So with this mindset, we have joined forces with the biggest New Zealand companies to really maximize the footprint and market share in Brazil, in Latin America, more specifically Brazil. So we are positioning ourselves to be the gateway to enter Latin America, more specifically Brazil. We can provide a full suite of services for cannabis companies to accelerate penetration and maximize market share in the exciting market of Brazil. Through our highly specialized team, our extensive network, local partnerships, we can be the boots on the ground for cannabis companies, supporting the business development, regulatory approval, and distribution strategies. So our main advantages are that we have an extensive network within the medicinal cannabis and pharmaceutical industries. We already have identified KOLs and potential partners, buyers. We have a database of over 1,350 medicinal cannabis prescribing doctors. And this is something that's continuing to grow through our network and through our research approaches. We have established a fully licensed distribution hub to be able to store and dispatch products on demand to Brazilian patients. We understand the Brazilian regulatory environment, the culture and geographical differences between the different regions of Brazil. Brazil is a huge country, and there's many regional differences in terms of culture and approach, so we are able to understand that. We are We have the ability to provide a full support, facilitation, and engagement with the Brazilian Health Regulatory Agency for the product registration. So we always have a close relationship with Anvisa. We also have a strong relationship with the medicinal cannabis patient family associations. So on top of these two ways that I mentioned earlier, direct importation and registration for products to be sold in pharmacies, there is also a third way, and that's something that is very unique to Brazil, and it goes through the legal system. So a patient or association of patients, they can go through the legal system in Brazil and demand that they can cultivate and manufacture their own artisanal oil. And we see that growing a lot in Brazil. And we have a close relationship with some of the biggest medicinal cannabis patient family associations. And that puts us in advantage in terms of being able to provide them high quality products. So we have dual country offices with our headquarters in New Zealand and our branch office in Brazil. And we are currently developing our dedicated sales and MSL teams. So another key feature of what we're doing in Brazil is to collaborate with universities. So last November, we just announced MOU with Unesp. Unesp is one of the biggest universities in the state of São Paulo. It's a public university, and they have something that's called the Center of Interdisciplinary Studies in Cannabis. So as the name says, interdisciplinary research group with faculties of medicine, veterinary, biotechnology, agronomy. So this document covers collaboration for research, for education of undergraduate and graduated students, postgrad students, and also university extension, which means that we collaborate to educate the broader community. So this is a very groundbreaking step in advancing cannabis research and education in Brazil. Another initiative that we're taking to strengthen the bilateral relationship between Brazil and New Zealand, we are organizing for later this year a trade mission of Brazilian key opinion leaders formed by politicians that are working the advancement of the regulations in Brazil, researchers, Anvisa officials, doctors, to visit New Zealand and have a tour in the industry and the different facilities, in our partners' facilities in Auckland, planning to go to Peru as well, in Kekerengo, in the South Island. So, and the objectives of this delegation visit is to create commercial opportunities for New Zealand and Brazil, to strengthen our bilateral relationship, create research opportunities between Brazilian universities and New Zealand universities, bring awareness about the New Zealand medicinal cannabis industry in Brazil, and also set a point of difference in terms of the quality standards to import the imported products going into Brazil. As I said earlier, the quality is one of the biggest challenges that we have in Brazil, and by setting the standards, by showing how a fully mature, a fully regulated industry operates, can set a model for the Brazilian market to evolve as well. And also to share the successful New Zealand experience in set up a new industry. So for future synergy opportunities, we are currently seeking investment and looking for partnerships to bring New Zealand grow, New Zealand made premium New Zealand medicinal cannabis products into Asia. So later on, I'll be available for anybody interested in knowing how we can collaborate and partner up to bring the amazing New Zealand products into Asia. I know that questions will come later. I'll leave here my contact, and thank you very much.